Hi, welcome to Jen's Ink Spot. Today I have a video sharing with you a new die set from Frantic Stamper. You might remember this die set. I shared a couple videos on my blog a few months ago on the different ways that you can use these pop-up bases. This is the original die set in this series. And now Frantic Stamper has come out with a new set. This is called Pop-Ups number 2. It's a set of 5 dies and it's part of the Elemental series, Elementals number 13. And there's different dies in this set that can make your cards interactive and fun. So I want to show you how each of the dies in this set work. The first dies I'm going to show you are these 2 dies, and they are very similar to a die in the first series, which looks like this. These are just obviously much wider. This about twice as wide as this die, and this one's a lot taller as well. Quick rundown on how this die cuts is all the way through the middle. It scores. It scores on the top, the middle, and the bottom. The only piece that cuts are these 2 side pieces, and it's the same on this die down here as well. So the middle, the tops score, and then the side cuts. And the way that this is designed to work is you take your card base, you would line this die up with your score, or you can score after you die cut this if you'd like, and then you'd run it through your die cut machine. Here's an example of the bigger one. I like to tape mine down with Post-it note tape. It holds it really well. You want something that's not going to tear your cardstock when you pull it up, so that's why I like Post-it tape, because it doesn't have as much of a grip on it as some of the other tapes. After you take this die cut up, and this is a short card just as an example. It's basically the size of a card front, so this will just give you an idea. This part's already scored, and then this part here is going to score. That's what this little line is here, so you would score that part, and there's your little pop-up. So then what you would do is you would attach something to the front here. You can also do this as a side card. You don't have to do it as a card up and down like this. You can use it this way also. I have an example of a card I made using the smaller version of this die. This is the front of my card. This spring die here is one that will be released March 15th, part of a new garden series that I think you'll enjoy. Now the magic to this card is when you open it up, you have a pop-up inside. I'll show you the side view of it, and here's what the front looks like. Now I did this a little bit different from the way that I've done pop-up cards in the past, in that my base here that I've made the pop-up from is actually acetate. So it's not a cardstock that you can see, but you can see through it, and it's shiny. So what I did was I put pattern paper on the back of my cardstock. I stamped my sentiment on my card base, and I attached them using foam tape. Behind them, I put adhesive that I attached to my cardstock to help hold it down. And then down here, I put pattern paper over the top of my acetate to help secure it. The next die I want to show you is this rectangle die. This die cuts out the rectangle shape, and then it scores in 4 different places. Here, 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 and here. So when you fold it, you'll have 4 squares in a little tab. Now when I first got this die, I thought it was intended to be used as kind of a pop out like this. So you would attach this into your card, this into your image, and then when they open the card, your image pops out. And that is one way that you can use it. However, there are 3 other ways that I found to use this die too. So the first way that I just showed you, the second way is that if you fold all of these on the score line the same direction, and then you put them together, you get a little box that looks like this. And I found that if you adhere the little flap to the inside of the box, it works better. Now, the way that you can use this box, I'm going to show you the first way in a card. Here's a card I made. This is also using some of the new sets that will be released April 1st with the Mother's Day sets. I used the Handmade with Love die and the Retro Stand Mixer die, which I think is really cute. And then when you open it up, you have this great pop-up inside. I'll show it from the top so you can see how much dimension there is. And it's just nice because it pops right out. And when you fold this card and put it in an envelope, you can see there's hardly any thickness to it. It can be pressed down easily. But when you pop it, it's popped up probably a whole inch or more. And it can even go up farther if you push it a little bit. You can see that there. The I, you, and Mom are stamps from a new sentiment set called All in the Family, also released April 1st. And then the pie is from a baking set die. And then I used the previously released stitch bracket labels for this little frame here that I put this whole sentiment on. Now, another way that you can use this die is as a little stand. So I've just taken those same stitch bracket labels that I just showed you, created a frame, and then I've attached the box to the back, and it just stands up on your table like that. And you could use this as a nameplate. You could also use this on your card like this too if you wanted. Another way, and this is probably the most unusual way to use this die because it's so little, is you can use it as a box on the inside of your card. So here it is from above. When you open your card, it looks like it has a little box in it, and then you can take little images and make it look like they are flying out of your box. Okay, the next die is what I call the wobble die, and it has a little bit of a spring action to it. So this is what the die looks like, and I have cut it out of several different kinds of paper here to give you an idea. You can cut it out of paper that matches your card front. I also cut it again out of the acetate, so again you wouldn't be able to see this very well on your card. Then I also cut it out of two different kinds of vellum because vellum is also hard to see. This is a really thick vellum, and then this is a really thin vellum. I have an example here of one way to use this. This is actually a die by Frantic Stamper, and it is called Bunny Butt. And what I've done is I've attached my spring wobble to the back. I found that if you attach the centerpiece to your object, that seems to work the best, the centerpiece to your object, and then this piece you will attach to your card front, or you can even tuck it under a layer if you wanted to. So you could hide it that way as well. Depending on how your card is made, you have a couple different options. You can see how it wobbles. And I have a card to show you with an example of this as well. Here's the card I made, and as you can see, these bowls on here, they're just wobbly. So they have movement to them. Even if you're not shaking it, it still has movement to it. Kind of moves back and forth, kind of moves up and down. It's really a fun die to play with. The dies that I use, I thought it'd be fun to make a shaped card, and so I used the petal squares in between. And then I use these mixing bowl dies. This is a set that will be released, I believe, on April 1st. It's part of our Mother's Day release. And I just love these bowls. And the cool thing about these bowls is that when you die cut them, it already has a little slit right here. So you can tuck something in there. So when I went to stack these bowls, they just insert right inside each other, which was wonderful. And then there was a place that I could even insert the little spoon, which is another new die set that will be released April 1st called Silverware. You can also see that I used craft paper that matched my card base for my wobble. I have one more die to show you, and I don't know exactly what to call it other than a bracket die. So that is what I'm going to refer to it as. It might have a more official name. It has a really cool concept to it. I started by creating this card. This is the card front. This is also a sneak peek of another new die set that will be released April 1st called Mom's Apron. I also used a previously released Wavy Banners die set. It comes with 2 dies. And then a new stamp set, Happiness is Homemade, that will also be released with the Mom's series. Now for the inside of my card, I stamped my sentiment already to prepare it. I love the stamp set from Frantic Stamper called Celebration. It just has beautiful fonts in it. Here's the Celebrating You right here. Just a wonderful sentiment that you could use in so many occasions. And then I use the Moms, and it's from the stamp set that will also be releasing April 1st with the Mom series. What you're going to do is this die cuts out the rectangle like the other dies I showed you, and then it cuts a slit here. It scores down the middle, and it scores right above the slit. So you would fold this in half, and then you're going to, I recommend anyway, using a bone folder to get it nice and smooth. Then these little tabs are going to fold up, and again, use your bone folder for that. Now, I think there's several ways that you can use this, but the way that I'm going to use it is I'm going to tape this together in the middle, not the tabs, just the long part in the middle. I'm going to adhere that part together, and then those tabs are going to go out like this, and it forms a little bracket. Now what I've done, and I've already prepared this in advance, is I've taken these bowls again, and I have cut 2 sets of them, and you can tell that they're mirrored each other. You don't have to do this, but the reason that I did it will become apparent soon. What I did is I first took my first set of bowls, and then I took a second set cut out of the same paper and tried to match them up as closely as I could to each other so that they are about the same on each side. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach them to this little bracket. So I'm going to put adhesive on this long part right here again, and then I'm going to take my bowl and I'm going to adhere that to my bracket. Then I'm going to cover this back part completely with adhesive, and I'm going to take my second set of bowls that I've cut and I'm going to line them up with this. And it does get a little tricky with the adhesive already on, but I'm just going to try and line them up as close together as possible, knowing that there will be a little bit of white showing. Okay, so that's not too bad. So now I still have these flaps that are showing, and what I'm going to do with those is I'm going to put adhesive on there now on both of them, and then this is going to get taped to my fold in my card so that it's like that. So now when I open my card, that is going to pop out like that. When it's completely closed, you can see why I stamped the sentiment over here on this edge. So that is how you use this die, and hopefully you've enjoyed the cards that I've shared with you today and the examples of some of the ways to use this die. Thank you so much for joining me today at Jen's Ink Spot. If you're interested in purchasing any of the supplies that you've seen me use today, you can go to Frantic Stamper's website, and that is www.franticstamper.com. If you visit my blog, all of the supplies will be linked there, as well as a link to the store. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have a great day.